On the motion, this House believes that all lectures in every public university should be made freely available online. I'd like to call upon the Honorable Prime Minister to begin this debate. Hear, hear.
May I begin? Today, this House is going to debate on the topic that this House believes that all lectures in every public universities should be made freely available online. To begin with the status quo, we would like to talk about some schools that is already providing this free online education. Those schools are Stanford, Harvard, Princeton, MIT, and Berkeley, one of the most famous, world-famous universities. They are already providing this kind of free education, free lectures online. So therefore, this House would strongly argue the need of this kind of free online lectures. Before we move on to our real argument, we would like to define some controversial terms. First, we would like to define public university as government-run university, which does not include private university, but includes the city, state, and this country-run universities. And universities would mean an organization that is made for educating people. And we would like to define this freely available as access without any certificate, regardless of college enrollment, and also free of charge. And we would like to define this online as through the internet in the form of downloading and free streaming and online free streaming. So to move on to our argument, we made three arguments here. First, it's about the principle, and second, it's about this effectiveness, and third, it's going to be about impacts. Our Prime Minister is going to talk about the first two arguments, and our Deputy Prime Minister is going to talk about the last argument, the impacts. To move on to our argument, we want to ask, what is the role of the government? Government has to make this fairer society, and therefore they have to... Yes, ma'am.
Then why do you have to release all lectures instead of just releasing select few lectures?
Well, we said that government has to make a fairer society. Well, but I don't really get the point why side opposition really says that why don't we provide all lectures, because what we believe is that the government role, it's the principle, it's the problem with the principle. Government has to think of this fairer society and has to give a chance to everyone. And also, but there are some students who couldn't study, who couldn't get the college enrollment because their conditions were bad, because they were unlucky, because they had another tons of situation. Maybe they might be not rich enough to pay this college enrollment, and maybe they were not smart enough to pass this kind of college enrollment exams. But no thanks. But does that necessarily mean that they don't deserve those kind of education? No, they deserve it. They can have this education. And that's what government has to do. Government has to do at least, they have to at least provide a chance to have access to those kind of education. So, so what we ask is that in public schools, which is run by government, shouldn't they release all kind of lectures that they are providing? Well, I think we firmly believe we need to, we have to. And also, considering that the university is organization for educating the students, can we say that it is for educating students, but can you take off the chance from students to not be educated just because they're not smart enough? No. So thinking of this government, thinking of the principles, how government should be, we definitely believe that all lectures in every public universities should be made freely available online. And also, to move on to my second argument, which is going to be about the effectiveness, we believe that this kind of online education will bring no harm to quality education. As I mentioned, this is in the status quo. Stanford, Harvard, Princeton, MIT, Berkeley are already providing free online education. But is the quality education not working, not implemented on those kind of online lectures? No, they are already providing this quality online lectures, and which means that that this kind of online lectures can be this quality education. It can provide students with quality education. And also, what we're just trying to do in this motion, this debate, is that we're just expanding one's choice and access to education. It's nothing so different. So that's what and also thinking about this reputation of the, yes ma'am.
Have you ever thought about how much this will cost to the nation and also to the universities?
Well, what we want to say is that we are not definitely saying that online lectures is we want to say that online lecture is different from normal college enrollments. What we believe is that colleges are for providing education, and what we want to say is that they are providing lectures. So thinking of this how it could harm this nation, we would believe, how can that be harming? While all we are just going to do is providing a chance to be educated. We're not talking about that we're not talking about we deny the normal college, we're denying the traditional college. All we wanted to do is just, as I mentioned, we're just expanding one's choice and access. So is that really wrong? Is that really wrong to make it free? So, and also, back to my argument, which was about the reputation of the professors. Thinking about the reputation of the professor himself, we believe that it can make the online lectures even better. It can make this online lecture even better, and also think about the online lecture, thinking how it is already taken like videos, and how it is already prepared before it is really released to the public. We believe that they can have a more chance to prepare for it. So also thinking of that, yes sir.
Then do you think these professors will actually consent to releasing these videos? These reputable professors will actually consent?
Can you rephrase that?
Do you believe these reputable professors, as you've mentioned, will actually consent to releasing their videos to the general public?
Well, thinking about the principles, thinking about how a moral act it would be, we believe that can be done and that should be done. And I believe that professors would agree on that. And also, back to my argument, they can have a more preparation time for the lecture. And therefore, we believe that this can benefit both the university and the students. So considering all those benefits, they can provide quality education, do we really have to deny that? No, we believe that there is no reason that we have to deny the need of free online lectures, and there is no need we have to deny that. I talked about this in principle-wise, and then this effectiveness. Principles, the principle of government, what government is supposed to do. Government is supposed to help everyone, give a fair chance, fair opportunity. So thinking about what government should do, that must be done. And also thinking about thinking about giving this quality education, we believe government definitely has to do that. So therefore, for these reasons, I am proud to propose. Thank you.
I thank the Prime Minister for that speech and like to call upon the Leader of Opposition to open the case for Noah. Hear, hear.
Okay, may I start? Ladies and gentlemen, we believe that when it comes to the issue of university education, it's not like EBS of South Korea that relates to SAT, so-called Sunung of South Korea, ladies and gentlemen. Because when it comes to EBS, it is directly related to SAT of South Korea, and there's only 20 subjects, which gives a lot of incentive for South Korean citizens to actually watch those sort of things. But when it comes to university educations with thousands of courses, ladies and gentlemen, we cannot guarantee that same demand will be actually existence in the status quo, ladies and gentlemen. And we have never heard any answer from this sort of notion from the team proposition, ladies and gentlemen. And before moving on to my constructive speeches, Mr. and Madam Speaker, let me actually examine what the team proposition have said on today's debate as a whole. First of all, we believe that their policy itself was problematic. They say that they're just going to make all the courses free, available online, ladies and gentlemen. But we believe that we need to hear more about what mechanism do they take and where do they get all the money, all the costs that's necessary for the sort of policy they make. And also, they never responded. What if professor claim for their property rights and disagree to their policy? No answer whatsoever, and that's the reason why their policy fails in the first place, ladies and gentlemen. And their argument number one was simply about role of government. And yes, we do agree to their points. Actually, government has responsibility for giving a chance for education, ladies and gentlemen. And also, government should actually care about unfortunate children, maybe who are poor, ladies and gentlemen. We do agree. But what we don't agree is that to achieve their goals, do we actually need to open up all universities, all courses, ladies and gentlemen? No, we don't think so. We believe that it'll be enough. No, thank you, sir. It'll be enough for it can be enough for a government to actually open up the informations and the courses of SNU, Korea University, Yonsei University, and Liwa University whatsoever, ladies and gentlemen. Why should they open up a whole lot of all university and public university, ladies and gentlemen? No answer whatsoever on their side. And their second argument was dealing about the reputations and how it can actually make the courses better, ladies and gentlemen. But we believe that we see no linkage in their policy and suddenly changing the quality of the courses better, ladies and gentlemen. Because even if you broadcast the system, the professor is the same, ladies and gentlemen. So they needed to give a clear linkage between how their policy directly influences and increase the quality of all university in South Korea or maybe other places, ladies and gentlemen. So, having said that, let me introduce our three constructive cases. Mr. and Madam Speaker, our first argument deals with the inefficiency. Our second argument deals with harms on the education quality of university. And our third argument deals with the property right issue. So, as a leader of opposition, I'll gotta take the first two arguments, and the deputy leader of opposition will take the third argument. So, let us directly go to our argument number one, which is inefficiency. So, ladies and gentlemen, in this argument, I have basically two levels of analysis. First level of analysis, no need. Second level of analysis, high cost. So let us directly delve into the first level of analysis, no need. So this motion clearly states that it is all university that we're talking about and all courses that we're talking about. So why, yes, from you?
But didn't we mention from the definition that we are talking about public universities?
Yes, but the problem is that all public universities, ladies and gentlemen, yes. That was what I meant. So let's follow my flow of the logic. So there are so many public universities in South Korea, about more than 50, ladies and gentlemen. And if all of them actually post their course online, then there will be more than 50 courses on economy, one economy course, and there will be more than 50 courses in math, ladies and gentlemen. So we believe that this sort of overlapping is not necessary, ladies and gentlemen. And also, the motion deals with the all courses. So there are some courses that are maybe some people actually want, for example, like economy or psychology. These sort of courses are very famous. But most of the courses within these thousands of courses that a public university gives to the students, we believe that there are too much of the courses that are too advanced and too specific. For example, like vector calculus or maybe medicals, ladies and gentlemen. Only the people who need these sort of advanced class is people who are majoring in these specific courses, ladies and gentlemen. But their goal, their target today is mass majority. And we believe that these mass majority will not need the courses like vector calculus or medicals and whatnot, ladies and gentlemen. So that's the reason why there's no demand, ladies and gentlemen. And having said that, let us go to the second level of analysis, which is high cost. So, when it comes to recording all courses, ladies and gentlemen, hundreds and thousands of the courses that is provided by the public university, we, the team opposition, is confident that there will be a lot of cost. Because staffs are necessary for the sake of recording all these hundreds and thousands of the courses, and we have never heard from the team proposition where this money actually comes from. The budget doesn't appear out of nowhere, ladies and gentlemen. So, we believe that because team proposition is not ready to deal with the high cost that this policy will bring, their case itself gets to the demolished, ladies and gentlemen. So having said that, let us move to our second argument. No, thank you, sir. Harms the education quality, ladies and gentlemen. So the significance of university education is intimacy, ladies and gentlemen. University is not a place for a unilateral flow and injection of information. There is a cooperation and reciprocal communication between professors and students, ladies and gentlemen. And for example, let's think about the jokes that university professors actually do. they sometimes actually engage in jokes to help understanding context of the subjects, and also they actually try these sort of things to increase the close relationship with their students, ladies and gentlemen. And maybe these sort of jokes may actually include some contents that are a little bit sexual, ladies and gentlemen. But these sort of things are impossible when actually, as Team Proposition Policy claims, if these sort of classes and courses actually go online and available to all citizens of South Korea or other place, then these sort of methods for intimacy will not be allowed, because these are not the tactics that university professors, like for example, like jokes, are not apt for releasing to the mass public, ladies and gentlemen. Also, there is an issue related to the personal ideas. High school, when it comes to the high school, students are on the process of learning, so that's the reason why teachers are not able to express his or her personal political thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. However, no, thank you, sir. When it comes to university, we expect the citizens to be grown up. We expect them to be actually learned enough for the sake of building up their own arguments and their own thoughts about the society, ladies and gentlemen. So that's the reason why we allow free expressions of thoughts by the professors, but also from the students, ladies and gentlemen. But under their motion, under their policy, we, the team opposition, is confident that professor cannot actually enjoy this free expressions, because when they express their political thoughts, there are millions of people actually who can actually criticize his stance toward his personal ideas. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is problematic. When it comes to the context of South Korea, we do already know that there are keyboard warriors who actually overly criticize the stance of political stance of a person, including the professors, ladies and gentlemen. So when their policy go past, ladies and gentlemen, we believe that because university professors are afraid from the retaliation and whatnot from the public, they will not be able to express their own arguments, own thoughts during the courses, which is actually one of the basics that university, a free university, should be given with, ladies and gentlemen. So throughout the speech, what have I told you? I told you that their policy lacks in efficiency, and they failed to actually explain about why all university and why all courses. And secondly, we explained to you that actually their policy harms the education in terms of university. So let's go to conclusion. One thing that even a typical Korean child knows is that the many does not necessarily mean the better. Thank you.
Thank the Leader of Opposition for that speech, and like to call upon the Deputy Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker and fellow debaters and Ms. Speaker, I'm the Deputy Prime Minister of the government side, as the Deputy Prime Minister, before I move on to our team's last argument, which is going to be about the positive impacts this policy could actually bring to our society, I would like to first of all refute to those biggest flaws made by the side opposition. So first of all, let's look at what their argument was. Their first argument was about that inefficiency, that we are going to provide too much of the lectures and too specific lectures, and also they have also questioned why are we going to provide all types of lectures. However, we believe that it is important to provide all lectures because it is not going to restrict what types of these students can choose. We believe that it is going to ensure what students can choose. It is going to expand the choices which students can choose from, even they're poor. That is what we're emphasizing. Even if they're poor, we believe that the government shouldn't be setting a restriction depending on their economical status. And we believe that we are certain when we provide all kinds of lectures, it will also include the basic classes. Because if, for example, in the university, when you go to university, it is not like every university students are so smart that they provide only the difficult classes. Therefore, we believe that basic classes and also the difficult ones will be provided and ensure the choice, the variety of the choices, even for the poor students. Yes.
So that in the case of advanced classes, are you actually agreeing that there's no need to actually post it online?
We believe that we cannot, as I said again, we cannot define students on their intelligence based on their economical status. Even if they're poor, they could be wanting some kind of difficult ones after taking the basic classes. Okay. And also, their second analysis was that it is too much of the cost, and where's the budget coming from? Actually, we believe we have clearly stated that we're going to make these internet classes based on the little tax, because we already have a big open forum which is already here, which is already present, called the internet. We're going to use the internet and just going to provide the lectures to the internet where any people can come without any discrimination. Therefore, we believe that citizens will actually agree on this too, because citizens will see that we are using the money on what is effective for real people. We are using it for the education, which is important for every single people. And also, their second argument was about that it actually harms the quality. However, we, as our Prime Minister have said, our second argument was actually about it does not harm the quality. We were sure that in some point of the debate, we were sure that the side opposition would bring out this point. Therefore, we have already clarified and explained very well that Stanford, Harvard, Princeton, MIT, all these advanced high-class universities already provide the free available online lectures. Still, did the value of the education decrease? No, it did not. We are just expanding the one's choices and access to the education. We believe it is not going to harm any quality of the education. And on top of that, they asked about what about the lecturers? What about the professors? Are they going to actually consent to this policy? However, we said yes, because if all these professors are so sure about their reputation and so sure about the material, the quality of the material they're providing, they are going to agree on this, because they will see that they can show to a lot of the people that they have a good lectures. And they will see this policy as where they can actually get a benefit, where they can actually increase the reputation, which will actually also lead to better quality of the lectures, benefiting also the students. And also, they have said that political ideas will be expressed. However, we believe that even if political ideas expressed, it will still even be expressed in the actual classes, in the real universities. And we believe that both students who are taking courses online and in the class, we believe that these students will have actually the right conceptions to choose whether or not it is political ideas, and they will choose. They're the ones that are chosen. And now, I would like to move on to our team's last argument, which is about the impacts it is going to bring to our society. I would like to explain this in two terms. First of all, it will actually modernize and democratize the education. Secondly, it will bring long-term benefit to the whole society. So first of all, let's look at the first level, where we believe that it will actually lead the education into the next level by modernizing and democratizing. We believe that it can lead to rich students with low incomes who cannot afford courses otherwise than this policy. For example, let's look at the big example called America. American students have a big problem in their education, especially when it comes to university, because of their extreme high fee, and therefore they even have difficulty apply for them and attend the real schools. Therefore, we believe that we can have, especially considering the America, we believe that this policy can have a very big impact, because we're going to help a lot of students who are having difficulty, even if they want to take the classes where they cannot take the classes because of their economical status. Therefore, we believe that this can extend the students who can actually access the education. And we are going to take the education to the next level, where we can actually increase the participation of the education by increasing the access. So second level, I would like to talk about how it will bring the long-term benefit to the whole society. In the current status quo, there are various limitations to educations where they set a boundary of education between the economical status. For example, if you're rich, you're usually perceived as a person who got a good quality of the education, who grew up in a very good condition, especially in the advanced university. On the other hand, we must also look at the poor who people perceive they have not got enough education because of their economical status. However, we believe that we can now change the boundary and remove that unnecessary boundary from the status quo. We believe that we're going to now allow the education to bigger people, where we can actually develop the future talented students, because we're not neglecting the poor students by providing them with the high quality university lectures. And therefore, and also what we want to emphasize is that what the opposition is arguing for is not mutually exclusive to what we're arguing about. Why don't we just keep the lectures in a high quality, and also at the same time just improve the access by providing them through the internet and provide them to the poor people? We believe that it will not do any harms which the side opposition is worrying about, such as harming the quality. And also, we believe that they should rather provide us with the alternative, which is more better to actually help the poor students. We cannot just simply neglect these students now, because we must now take the education to the next level by democratizing and modernizing the lectures, by providing all types of lectures in every public universities to be made freely available in the online. Therefore, I'm proud to propose.
I thank the Deputy Prime Minister for her speech and like to call upon the Deputy Leader of Opposition.
May I begin? Ladies and gentlemen, it seems today that when the proposition first came up with this motion, they had a very rudimentary ideal. Hey, education for the mass is good. Why not shoot videos for all lectures in all public universities? However, it seems today that the proposition hasn't given much thought as to the implications. Now, on side opposition, the Leader of Opposition has provided two major implications. First of all, inefficiency, and second of all, the harms to the quality of the lectures. Now, let me first examine what the government had to offer as rebuttals for these two arguments. First of all, inefficiency. Our first level analysis was that there is no need for all lectures to be released. And they said that this restricts the students' choices, and that students should be able to select from all courses. However, we believe that even if this is true, some lectures will still be left out and still be left unpopular and still not be viewed as much. And we believe that since, which was the second point of analysis, because it entails such high costs, ladies and gentlemen, this simply is not a very feasible policy. Now, as for the high costs, they really haven't given much objection as to the developing costs and maintenance costs of the infrastructure, the basic infrastructure of uploading all these videos on the internet. They haven't mentioned anything about this. Now, our second point was that it harms the quality. And our first point in this argument was that it harms the intimacy between the professors and the students. They haven't rebutted to this point. And second of all, we have analyzed this through the freedom of expression, how this limits the freedom of expression. Now, they have mentioned as a counterexample Harvard and Stanford, and how in these cases the freedom of expression was not harmed, and how professors were not hunted down for their political views. However, this is specifically because these professors have consented, ladies and gentlemen. In these cases, the government had not obliged every public university to open every course. And for Harvard and Stanford, these professors surely must have consented. These professors surely must have given thought before they spoke out their thoughts aloud. Now let me move on to rebut. No, thank you. Now let me move on to rebut their team's third substantiative argument, which was about the impacts of this policy. Now, they said that this will modernize education. And they pointed out as the problem of today's current education by giving the example of the American education. Now, they said that in America, the high tuition fees is a very big problem. However, first of all, we believe that this is because most American education is centered on private schools, which have an extremely high cost compared to public schools. And there are certainly much diverse alternatives available other than private schools, which are much more cheaper and much more affordable for the general public, ladies and gentlemen. However, even if we put aside this point, there are 2 points two questions that I'd like to raise to their point. First of all, if you're trying to make these lectures public, why not get volunteers from all university professors and not just restricting it to public universities, and even so obliging it, making it obligatory. And second of all, the second question I had was why offer even the unnecessary courses, the courses which many people will not view as well? They really haven't elaborated on these points. Yes.
I believe your question is out of the motion because the motion says it is for the government to open all lectures in every public universities, and you have mentioned why is it not extended to all private universities.
Yes, so I meant why is it not offered, why is this opportunity not offered even to the private universities? So we believe that this POI was pretty much irrelevant. Now, let me move on to explain our team's third substantiative argument, which is about the property rights. Ladies and gentlemen, universities are at the very forefront, at the very avant-garde of research. And in many cases, for many professors, new information, new innovation is created at a very rapid pace. And for many of them, these new information is delivered to the students in their courses. And also in many of the cases, they are quite immediately released even before they are published, they're officially published in their research papers. Now, this is because these professors want to share their information with these students because they want to get responses from them, because they want to share ideas, because they want to get ideas from these students. However, the case becomes significantly different if these lectures spread to the entire world. What happens to their research, ladies and gentlemen? What happens to their intellectual property rights? This is clearly different from delivering it to a handful of students whom the teachers place a significant amount of confidence in by initially explaining the ideas to them. So we believe that in this case, when there is no consent from the professors, there is a significant breach of rights, especially property rights. Also, this put aside, there's also a lot of room for abuse. Ladies and gentlemen, let's consider a case when a teacher just turns on a video of a university professor from a public university and neglects his own lectures and neglects to give his own classes, ladies and gentlemen. Now, in this case, we can clearly see that this teacher is abusing the property rights, the labor that has been done by the professors. He's taking advantage of this. Now, as it is for many other contests, many other forms of contests, there's no guarantee that this sort of infringement and this sort of abuse will not happen. And also, these professors who have originally offered their lectures get no credit for their labor. And finally, we should also consider the portrait rights of these professors. Even when you're having an interview, you need permission to shoot that person's interview, and to record it, and to release it to the general public. Now, some people, especially some professors, don't want their faces, their lectures released to the entire world and made open to everybody. And if these professors have not consented, how is the government justified to take away their rights from them? Ladies and gentlemen, now, if the professors were so compelled as to voluntarily release all their lectures, then we see that it might have less of a problem. However, it is clear in the status quo that many professors were surely opposed to the release of their own materials, and some people would surely feel very violated. And because there are so many infringements upon the professors' inherent rights, their inherent rights to both intellectual property and their portrait rights and many other rights, we are very proud to oppose. Thank you.
I thank the Deputy Leader of Opposition for his speech and like to call upon the government whip to sum up the case for POCU. Hear, hear.
May I start? Ladies and gentlemen, today we are discussing on the motion that public universities must open up their lectures online, freely available to public. And we have discussed that it is something about public universities, universities that are run by tax money, that are run by people's money, and that is run by the public. And I believe the side opposition is thinking of government, the public universities, as a lucrative business runner. They are discussing on topic of budget and inefficiency that will be only applied to private corporations. However, we are now talking about a government's role. Government does not earn money from what they do. They give out benefits to its own people, and that is the role of government, whether there is loss or whether there is profit. So we believe that they are discussing about how will we get the budget of this online courses. We say that the government should not always get profit. They can lose money from posting it online. However, what we think is that the people get the benefits. Those who paid for the public schools, those taxpayers who support public schools are now getting the benefit of public school lectures. So we believe that the budget, so the tax is not something that can be discussed here, as that is a very big role of the government to do so. So in today's speech, I would like to organize my speech in two ways. The first one is to rebut what the previous speaker has said in this podium, and then to move on to the three classes I have found, which is about, first, the benefits of this lecture. Second is the property of lecture. And third is practicality. So to rebut to what the previous speaker has said, the previous speaker said, how about teachers who use these lectures as their own lecture in their classes? So we say South Korea has a free broadcasting system on education called EBS. And why does not teachers use EBS as their own lecture? Because teachers want to teach. Teachers have their own duty to teach. Teachers have their own right to teach. They do not use the current open lectures now. So we believe that their assumption is very unlogical, and they have no ground, because the current situation shows that teachers do not use. Yes.
We believe that the obligation of the professor lies only in the boundary of the university, not necessarily to the whole wide world.
Yes, and I will discuss that more on the class I have found, but to say briefly, it is public university. It is for all people's benefit, and sometimes property right can be restrained. So to move on to the clash I found, the first clash is about the benefits of this lecture. The side opposition has mentioned something about intimacy and freedom of speech of students about like politics, and they said it should not be allowed to protect those. And they said the benefit, so the benefit that is must go to these students who enrolled. They are saying that the students who enrolled in public universities are the only ones to get the benefit of those lectures. And our side government says that is very wrong. The public schools are taxpayers. It is the citizens. And we believe the benefit must go to all citizens. We are not obliging every citizen to use this. We are giving the opportunity of better education. We are giving the opportunity of open lectures here. So we believe that those public schools are taxed schools. So the benefit must not only restrain to those who enrolled, but must go to all people, who have paid tax and supported these public schools. So we take this clash because the side opposition is thinking this public school as the only institution that only benefits the students who enrolled. However, we say these institutions are something that must contribute to the society. So we take this clash. To move on to the second clash, we have found that it's the property of lecture. The side opposition has mentioned that the property only goes to professors. And they say if the professors don't consent, they must not give out this lecture because it infringes the right of property. And we again emphasize the word public. That is the very important word in this motion too. The public means that it is for everyone. And it is clearly stated in the law that property rights can be restrained for public's benefit. And that is clearly stated. And the opposition has failed to see that law-based arguments that we have provided. So the right of property on lectures can be restrained for public's benefit. That is the citizens' benefit. Yes, sir.
Public servants are people hired by the government, not actual servants who have no property rights at all.
I say again, it's stated in the law, property rights can be restrained for public's benefit. It is the property, okay, the lecture is property right of the professors, and it can be restrained for public's benefit. That is what I have been saying here. So we take this clash because the side opposition is just failing to say the property right is only for professors. And we go more than that and saying that property right is for everyone. So we believe we take this clash too. To move on to the third clash, we have found that it's the clash of practicality. And the side opposition has given many evidences for this practicality issue. They have mentioned about its ineffectiveness, they said it is too much, and they say, where's the budget coming from? So, to first say about the ineffectiveness, we say it's high quality and it is for everyone. Everyone who have paid tax, everyone, every citizens on the land, every public. So we believe it is very effective because it benefits the public. And we have mentioned I have mentioned earlier that governments should not put in effectiveness or benefit of themselves first. I said that the benefit of the public is the most effective way a government can do their duties. So we believe that this is very effective because it gives the public the benefit, and that is what the government, what the public schools must do. Just the second, there are too many lectures on the internet, and they say there can be some unimportant lectures, and that is very ineffective. And we say that deciding whether the lecture is important or not is on the hand of who receives the lecture. We believe that every lecture must be provided to provide an opportunity to see that lecture. Whether it's important or not is decided by who sees the lecture. So we believe there is no point on their argument. And third, where's the budget come from? I have mentioned earlier, it is the tax, and tax is for everyone, everyone's benefit. Public schools are run by tax, and we say those budgets are same as what public universities run from. So we believe that we have taken the third clash too. So to conclude, we have taken this debate because the side opposition has failed to see that this benefit of lecture goes to everyone. And it is the role of public universities that is a very important word in this debate. The public universities must benefit all of its citizens. So we believe we have won this debate. I'm very proud to propose. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I'd like to invite the last constructive speaker of today's debate, Opposition Whip.
Team Opposition agrees that the right to education is a general right that every citizen is entitled to. And we do agree that it's desirable that this education, access to education, is expanded to the general public. However, what we disagree on the opposition side is videotaping all lectures of all public universities, because we believe that that's unnecessary, and because we believe that that harms the quality of education, and because we believe that that infringes the property rights of professors unnecessarily. So the biggest point that we have for you is that this is unnecessary, ladies and gentlemen. We believe that just filming a few lectures of a selective few universities is enough to achieve what they're trying to achieve. And we believe there's really no necessity for videotaping all. And therefore, that's where the opposition side stands today. And before moving on to the clashes of today's debate, I'd like to point to two rebuttals that we have for the government side. The first rebuttal is regarding the cost. Now, on the opposition side, we have been stressing that the cost of this videotaping is very high, and therefore this is very inefficient, and we shouldn't do this. We shouldn't tape all the lectures. And to this, the government side responded by saying that, well, public universities are not profit-maximizing entities, and therefore the cost doesn't matter. However, we believe that costs do matter, and because we're talking about making this available free online, and because this is supported by the government, and in other words, by taxes, ladies and gentlemen, we believe that this is also related to government budget and government policy. Now, what they're trying to do is basically a government policy, and we believe that in enacting a government policy, budgets do matter, because we have to consider the sustainability and affordability of policies. That's what we always consider when we make policies, and therefore cost is a very important point that we have established in today's debate. Moving on to the second point of rebuttal, it's about property rights. Now, they say that sometimes the rights of individuals can be overridden for a bigger cause, but as we will prove to you in our first clash, we believe that there is no bigger cause in this case, because there's no necessity for video clipping all the lectures. Now we'd like to move on to the two clashes that we have in today's debate. The first clash is about the necessity of this motion, and the second clash is about the quality of education, whether video clipping all lectures reduces the quality of education. So on to the first clash about the necessity. On the government side, they have explained through their first and third argument why this is so necessary. They said that it's the government's responsibility for providing quality education to everybody. And in their third argument, they said that, well, democratization of education is necessary. Well, we agree that education is a positive externality that that would be desirable if education were spread to the public. However, what we disagree on, as we have been continuously mentioning, is that to achieve these ideals that they're proposing, it's not necessary that we make all public lectures available to the public, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we'd like to explain why furthermore on. Yes.
So what is your standard on deciding the necessary lectures or unnecessary lectures that will be posted online?
Well, we believe that if, even in the status quo, it's fine, because, so we believe that the standard for choosing which lecture should go up isn't, we believe that the exact standard isn't necessary, but we believe that if we release the lectures from about top 20 universities or so, we believe that if we release those high-quality, lectures from high-quality education institutions, that would be sufficient to ensure that the people do get the democratization of education and all the ideals that they propose. So so back to our case, we believe that actually it's not necessary to release all the lectures, because essentially we believe that the demand will be disproportionately distributed anyways. Because who will listen to the lowest ranking university professors' lectures, ladies and gentlemen? We believe that in reality, even if we videotape all the lectures from all the public universities, most people will be concentrated on listening to the top 20 or 30 universities lectures. So we believe that this is so, because the government side says that even so, it's necessary to provide all the lectures because they want to ensure a variety of choice to these public. But we believe that the variety of choice doesn't really stand, because in terms of university courses, most of the content overlaps, ladies and gentlemen, and people look for quality information and quality content. And because they look for those quality content, we believe that even if people are given a variety of choice, they will undeniably and eventually choose the top-ranking university courses, and therefore this release of whole recording of all the lectures in all the universities, this is very inefficient and this is unnecessary to achieving the ideal that they're trying to achieve. No, thank you. And for this reason, we have proven to you that there's no necessity for this policy. And we'd like to now move on to explaining then the inefficiency of this policy that they're proposing. Now, we have already proven to you that this is unnecessary. Now, we're going to prove to you why this is inefficient. Now, there are about 40-something public universities in South Korea, and each university has more than like 50 courses, and that means if they're going to film all the university courses in all of South Korean public universities, they're going to have to film like 2,000 courses, and they're going to have to do it like continuously, because they're not going to do it just one time, they're going to do it like forever. And we believe that this will cost a lot, ladies and gentlemen. We have just illustrated to you how much cost this will have. And we believe that because, this is done freely and this has to be supported solely through government revenue and government tax, this is unaffordable on top of being unnecessary, which is why we believe that we take the first clash of necessity. And onto the second clash, it's about the quality of education. Now, the government side said that the quality of education will actually increase by implementing this policy because professors will come more prepared to class. However, we believe that, okay, maybe some professors will come more prepared to class, but then what about the almost hopeless professors, ladies and gentlemen? And we're very sorry to say this, but then let's face the reality, ladies and gentlemen. Out of the 40-something public universities in Korea, many, at least a quarter of these universities have lecturers and professors who almost don't function at all. And we believe that in these kinds of professors, in these cases, we believe that these professors will not try to improve their quality of education. We believe that instead of improving quality of education, they will not consent to this policy, ladies and gentlemen. So we believe that the result that will happen is not the increase in quality of education, but actually denial of the professors of this policy. So this policy cannot be implemented in the first place because the professors will disagree. And on the other hand, we have proven to you on the opposition side that if we implement this policy, the quality of education can be significantly diminished. That is because, ladies and gentlemen, some classes are based on an element of intimacy between professors and students. Some materials can be better delivered specifically owing to the intimacy between the students and the professors. For example, if professors make jokes or if they make parallel examples from the political situation that's happening right now, or if they take personal examples from their personal experiences, these can better communicate their ideas to the students. And this is what makes the education lively and classes lively. But if the lectures are broadcasted to the whole world, then we believe that some professors will obviously be uncomfortable in releasing this kind of information, and therefore, because these professors will no longer utilize this method of vitality and communication with the students, we believe that the quality of education will also be significantly lowered if we implement this policy. So we have proven to you overall that this policy is very much unnecessary, and on top of harming the quality of education, also infringing upon the property rights unnecessarily. Therefore, we're very proud to oppose. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Finally, to close out opposition's case from NOAA, I'd like to invite opposition reply.
May I start? So, ladies and gentlemen, although this is not necessarily the crux of this debate, under today's belief on the team proposition, a funny situation happens. Students in the public university pays for the money for their courses, but then, while the arbitrary public can actually access for free, ladies and gentlemen, we believe that this empirically tells us that the motion itself is wrong in the first place, ladies and gentlemen. So let's start with their policy, ladies and gentlemen. We, the team opposition, have been kept on asking that their policy is not practical in the first place. Where do the budget came from? The first two constructive speakers have never answered to this question. And then finally, the government comes late and say that maybe it can come from the new taxes. But then it's new matter in the first place, ladies and gentlemen. And even if this is from the text, they never understand how this text will be able and how much text should be actually taken by the government to actually fulfill the cost of recording thousands of the lectures from the university, ladies and gentlemen. And what if the professor disagrees, ladies and gentlemen? I believe that their policy itself was trembling in the first place. So, having said that, let me actually examine some contents of today's debate as a whole. So the issue that team opposition kept on tackling was why all university and why all courses, ladies and gentlemen. We've explained to you that under their policy, there will be a lot of classes, maybe economics whatsoever, overlapping again and again, ladies and gentlemen, because there are so many public universities in the nation, ladies and gentlemen. And why all courses? There are many courses which are too advanced for the normal general public, which is their target on today's debate as a whole. No response whatsoever, except for the fact that all people need a fair education. Yes, we do agree, ladies and gentlemen, but also government has responsibility not only to give an education, but also to actually manage the budget efficiently, ladies and gentlemen, because tax is not granted issue, ladies and gentlemen. And also, we wanted to actually hear from the team proposition what is so uniquely different from maybe 5 to 10 lectures to hundreds of lectures, ladies and gentlemen. No answer from this point as well, ladies and gentlemen. So that's the reason why we take the part of why all university and why all courses, ladies and gentlemen. Also, the second issue dealt with the quality of the university education. As a leader of opposition, I've come up to the podium and explained to you that actually their policy harms the expression of thoughts in terms of professors and the university. Because professor will be afraid from the attacks from the keyboard warriors, ladies and gentlemen. Especially when we consider the context of South Korea, this is a threat to them, ladies and gentlemen. And there's misrepresentation and misunderstanding from their second speaker. They said, as if we claim that posting online actually increased the expression of the person's thought, ladies and gentlemen. I was quite disappointed by this because they actually interpreted my argument backwards, ladies and gentlemen, which should not happen in the finals rounds, ladies and gentlemen. And they talked about a reputation issue. But we wanted to hear, suddenly, does the university's professor become so passionate and so ardent teachers due to the posting online, ladies and gentlemen? We have heard no linkage whatsoever from the team proposition as well, ladies and gentlemen. So then, the third issue relates to the professors. We explained to you that professors and their lecture and their new ideas and their renovations should be given with the property rights because they are the ones who actually endeavor to actually achieve these goals. And the only response from the team proposition was that actually these sort of rights can be restrained for the public's sake. But to what extent, we ask? And to the extent of the stumping over one's property rights? We believe no, ladies and gentlemen, because professors are not slaves of the government. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us get to the conclusion. I usually don't say this in the violence round, but maybe this might end as unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And finally, the last speech of the EFL Grand Finals, I'd like to invite the government reply.
Mr. and Madam Speakers, today we debated on the motion that this lectures in every public universities should be made freely available. What you have to first understand in this motion is that this is going to be on public universities, and this is about education. Public universities mean it has to be public. It has to be something related to the public. Again, we said that it's made by tax money. Those kind of public universities are made by tax money, which directly explains why this has to be released to the public. And also, we again said that there is a right to choose for normal citizens to learn whatever they want to do, and therefore explains that there is no need for certain lectures, because we said that there are some people who want advanced lectures already. How can you deny them? How can you say that if even though they want advanced lectures, but they are not really rich enough to go to their college and get this kind of lecture, can we say that we can deny those people's right? No. And also, today's debate was supposed to be also about this distribution matters. What the government has to do is distribute this kind of quality education to everyone, give a chance to everyone to access to this kind of education. However, side opposition didn't bring any alternative and just blamed our team's argument. And yes, our policy might have those kind of side effects. We might be neglecting some rights of the property of the professors. But does that mean there's another better way? How can you say that? How can you protect the rights of being educated who are not really rich enough? We already emphasized the importance of the government's role to make sure everyone can be educated, to have a chance to be educated. But they didn't really mention how can that be neglected just because of the property and just because this cannot be worked practical. We talked about this value. We talked about what the principle is, what it's supposed to be. But they rather talked about this, how this cannot be. But if this principle is right, isn't this supposed to be done? But also, what I want to say is that it is not even impractical because it is done by tax money. So that is something that must be returned to the normal publics. And also, let's look at the students who are rich and have enough money to go to university. They can choose what university to go and what specific lectures to take based on their knowledge and whatsoever. So that was our argument about the distribution matter, the importance of democratizing the education, that we have to distribute the education to everyone. But did they even mention that why distributing education wouldn't be so right? All they mentioned was that it won't be proper, it won't be efficient, it won't be practical. But did they talk about this value? Well, at least it might have side effects, but shouldn't it be done because thinking of its principles, thinking of all the good effects? All they talked about was practicality, and while we talked about the principle, and we believe this is the important thing. So therefore, I am proud to propose.
Thank you very much. That concludes today's EFL Grand Finals. I'd like to urge both finalists to cross the floor, shake hands. And as they do so, let's finally give a round of applause to the finalists for a fantastic debate. Thank you very much.